Catherine Morrison sits in her luxury Manhattan apartment at 11:34 p.m., celebrating a promotion to partner at her law firm, the career success she'd sacrificed everything for. She raises her glass of champagne alone, trying to feel triumphant. But when the temperature drops and impossible light fills her apartment, Jesus Christ stands before her. And between them appears a vision that stops her heart. 3 children ages 2, 5, and 8, the ages they would have been if she hadn't chosen abortion 3 times to avoid disrupting her career trajectory. You chose success over their lives, Jesus says. Now you'll meet the children you never let live. You're probably wondering how a 36-year-old successful attorney, sitting in a $1 million Manhattan apartment with a partnership at a prestigious firm, ended up face-to-face with Jesus Christ, seeing the 3 children she'd aborted not as medical procedures she'd rationalized away, but as the actual human beings they would have become. Let me take you back to when Catherine Morrison was an ambitious law student with clear priorities, career first, everything else later, and how, when 3 pregnancies threatened to derail her plans, she made the choice that seemed practical, necessary, even empowering at the time, but that would haunt her for eternity. If you or someone you know is experiencing abuse, pause this video. I'm putting resources in the description that could save a life. Abortion is one of the most divisive, painful, complex issues in modern society. This story doesn't exist to condemn women who've had abortions. The vast majority made that choice in difficult circumstances, often feeling they had no better option. But this is the story of something different. A woman who had 3 abortions not because of poverty, abuse, or lack of options, but purely for career advancement. Who chose professional success over motherhood 3 times. Who rationalized each decision as just a cluster of cells, or not the right time, or I'm not ready. Who built a successful life on the foundation of 3 lives ended. Catherine Morrison was 36 years old, a partner at Whitman & Associates, one of Manhattan's most prestigious corporate law firms. She earned $750,000 annually. She lived in a luxury apartment in Tribeca. She'd been featured in 40 under 40 lists, described as a rising star in corporate law. She'd achieved everything she'd planned since law school, except she'd done it by choosing abortion 3 times at ages 24, 28, and 32 each time, because pregnancy conflicted with crucial career moments. The first abortion during her final year of law school, because pregnancy would have made bar exam preparation difficult and might have cost her a coveted clerkship. The second abortion during her second year as an associate, because pregnancy would have shown lack of commitment at a critical time for partnership track. The third abortion, at age 32, when she was up for partner because taking maternity leave during partner evaluations would have been career suicide. Each time, Catherine had rationalized, it's just cells. It's not really a baby yet. I'm not ready to be a mother. My career is too important. I'll have children later, when the timing is better. She'd pushed down any doubts, any maternal instinct, any grief. She'd told herself abortion was a medical procedure, no different than removing an appendix. A choice, her right, nothing to feel guilty about. But on the 15th of November 2023, after celebrating her partnership, the career pinnacle she'd sacrificed 3 potential children for Jesus Christ, appeared in Catherine's apartment, and he showed her something that shattered every rationalization she'd built. The 3 children, not as clusters of cells or fetuses or medical terminology, but as the actual human beings they would have become. The daughter who would have been 8, the son who would have been 5, the second daughter who would have been 2. He made her meet them, know them, understand who they would have been, feel their presence, and experience the maternal grief she'd been suppressing for 12 years. This is a story about the cost of choosing career over life, about the rationalizations we create to justify moral choices, about a woman who achieved everything the world values while destroying 3 lives the world told her didn't matter yet. And it's about how Jesus confronts us when we choose ambition over the vulnerable, especially the most vulnerable of all. Catherine Morrison was 24 years old, in her final year at Columbia Law School. Brilliant, driven, top 5% of her class. She'd already secured a prestigious clerkship with a federal judge starting after graduation, a career-making opportunity that could lead to Supreme Court clerkship, partnership at elite firms, maybe even political office. She was dating Marcus, another law student, serious but not discussing marriage, yet both were too focused on launching careers to think about family. In February 2011, Catherine missed her period, then another. The pregnancy test was positive. She sat on her bathroom floor, staring at the test, feeling her carefully planned future crumbling. She had the bar exam in July. The clerkship started in August. A baby would be born in October. There was no way to do both. No way to take the bar exam heavily pregnant. No way to start a demanding clerkship with a newborn. The timing was catastrophically wrong. Catherine called Marcus. "I'm pregnant." His response was immediate. "What are you going to do?" Not, "What are we going to do?" Not, "How can I support you?" But what was she going to do, making clear he saw this as her problem, not his responsibility. "I don't know," Catherine admitted. "The timing is terrible. I have the bar exam, the clerkship. You can't have a baby right now," Marcus said firmly. "Catherine, you're about to start your career. This would derail everything you've worked for." "But, there's no but," Marcus interrupted. "You know what you need to do. It's just a medical procedure. It's legal, it's your right, and it's the smart choice for both of us." Catherine wanted him to say something different, to offer to support her if she kept it, to suggest marriage, family, an alternative, but he didn't, and part of her was relieved, because she knew he was right. Having a baby now would destroy everything. She scheduled the abortion for 2 weeks later. Didn't tell her parents they were. Conservative Catholics would never understand. Didn't tell friends, just Marcus, who paid half. The night before, Catherine had second thoughts. Looked up fetal development. At 8 weeks, there was a heartbeat, developing brain, tiny hands and feet. "It's not a baby yet," she told herself firmly. "It's potential, but it's not a person. It's my choice, my body, my future." She went to the clinic. The procedure was quick, clinical, efficient. Catherine felt cramping, some bleeding, emotional numbness. The clinic counselor asked, "How are you feeling?" "Fine," Catherine said automatically. It was the right decision. "It's normal to feel grief," the counselor offered, "even when you know it's the right choice." "I don't feel grief," Catherine said firmly. "I feel relieved. This was a practical decision. I'm not ready to be a mother." Simple as that. But that night, alone in her apartment, Catherine cried. Not because she regretted her decision, she told herself, but because hormones made emotions unpredictable, not real grief, just physical response to medical procedure. She pushed the feelings down, focused on studying for the bar exam, graduated top of her class, passed the bar on first attempt, started her prestigious clerkship. The abortion became a thing that happened, a choice she'd made, not something to dwell on or regret. Just part of her story, the sacrifice necessary for success. 4 years later, Catherine was 28, a second-year associate at Whitman & Associates. She'd been dating James, an investment banker, for a year. Serious relationship, discussing eventual marriage, but both agreeing, not yet. Careers first, family later. Catherine was on partner track, but barely. She worked 80-hour weeks, billed insane hours, took every high-profile case. She'd been told explicitly, the next 3 years determine partnership, show complete commitment, no distractions. In March 2015, Catherine discovered she was pregnant again. Different man, same problem, catastrophically wrong timing. This was year 2 of her partnership evaluation period. Getting pregnant now would signal lack of commitment, would require maternity leave during crucial years, would give male associates an advantage. Catherine didn't agonize this time. The decision was clear. Abortion. Again, James's response. "Whatever you want to do, I'll support. But honestly, now's not the time for us. We're both building careers. Maybe in 5 years." Catherine scheduled the abortion, 12 weeks this time, further along than before. The clinic showed her an ultrasound they were required by state law. Catherine saw the fetus, developing features, movement. "That's not a baby," she told herself firmly. "That's potential, but it's not a person yet. It can't survive outside me. My career is real. My dreams are real. This is just possibility that I'm choosing not to pursue." The abortion procedure was more involved this time, more painful, more emotionally complex. Afterward, Catherine felt hollow. Not regret exactly, but a strange emptiness, like something had been lost that she couldn't name. She took 2 days off work, then returned to her 80-hour weeks. Didn't talk about it, pushed it down, focused on cases, billable hours, impressing partners. But sometimes, late at night, Catherine would think, that would have been a baby in October, would have been crawling by now, walking, talking. Stop, she'd tell herself. You made the right choice. Career first, family later, when you're ready.
Before we continue, if you believe in second chances and the power of faith, type restore in the comments right now. Let your voice be the spark of hope for a family in need. Show the world your faith in action.
7 years after the first abortion, Catherine was 32 and up for partner. This was it, the career pinnacle she'd been working toward for a decade. Partnership decisions happened in December. If she made it, she'd be one of the youngest female partners in the firm's history. She was dating Michael, a fellow attorney. They'd discussed marriage, vaguely. After partnership was always the caveat. Catherine's career came first. Everyone understood that. In August 2019, Catherine discovered she was pregnant. Again, the third time. She sat in her luxury apartment earned through years of grueling work and felt rage. Rage at her own body for betraying her. Rage at the timing. Rage at the universe. Why now? She said aloud to the empty apartment. 4 months before partnership decisions. Why can't anything ever be easy? Michael's response was predictable. Terrible timing. What are you going to do? What I always do, Catherine said coldly. Fix the problem. She scheduled the abortion without hesitation. 16 weeks this time. Nearly 4 months pregnant. The clinic was different for second trimester abortions. More intensive procedure. More medical risk. More everything. Are you certain? The counselor asked. 16 weeks is further along. Have you considered? I'm certain, Catherine interrupted. I don't need counseling. I need this pregnancy terminated so I can focus on my career. Miss Morrison, it's policy to ensure you've considered all options. I have, Catherine said firmly. I've been through this twice before. I know what I'm doing. My career is at a critical juncture. This pregnancy would destroy years of work. I'm not keeping it. Schedule the procedure. The abortion was painful, required anesthesia, took longer. Catherine woke up feeling physically and emotionally battered. This time, the emptiness was worse, deeper, more undeniable. Catherine went home, took a week off, told partners she had food poisoning, and sat in her apartment feeling. What? Not regret. She'd made the right choice for her career, but loss, grief, something she couldn't name and didn't want to acknowledge. 3 abortions, 3 potential children erased for career advancement. They weren't children, Catherine told herself firmly. They were pregnancies, medical situations. I had choices, and I made them. I'm not a mother. I'm a successful attorney. That's who I am. She pushed the grief down, returned to work, threw herself into cases with even more intensity, partly to prove her dedication, partly to avoid thinking about what she'd done. In December 2019, Catherine made partner. She'd achieved her goal. Everything she'd sacrificed for partnership at 32. Youngest in firm history, $750,000 salary, corner office, prestige, success. She celebrated with colleagues, with Michael, with champagne and congratulations. But that night, alone in her apartment, Catherine felt hollow. She'd reached the pinnacle, and it felt empty, incomplete, like she'd won a race but lost something more important along the way. You're just tired, she told herself. You've been working toward this for a decade. Of course you're emotionally exhausted. This is success. This is what you wanted. But deep down, below the rationalizations, a question whispered, was it worth it? 3 lives for this career. Was it worth it? Catherine silenced the question with work, with more cases, with more hours, with more success. For 4 years, 2019 to 2023, Catherine lived as a successful partner. Dating, never seriously. Working, constantly. Achieving, impressively. She'd become exactly who she'd planned to be. Except sometimes, walking past playgrounds, seeing mothers with children, watching families, Catherine would feel a pang, a loss, a grief she couldn't quite name. I'm not maternal, she'd tell herself. I made the right choices for me. Some women are meant for motherhood. I'm meant for success. That's okay. That's valid. But the grief persisted, quiet, buried, denied, growing, until the 15th of November 2023, 4 years after making partner, 12 years after her first abortion, when Jesus Christ appeared in Catherine's apartment and forced her to face what she'd spent 12 years denying. Catherine sat in her Tribeca apartment, 2,000 square feet, floor-to-ceiling windows, modern furniture, everything she'd worked for, celebrating alone with champagne. She'd just been promoted to senior partner. More money, close to $1 million annually. More prestige, more success. The culmination of 15 years of ruthless dedication to career. She raised her glass to the empty apartment, to success, to choices, to freedom. But the words felt hollow. She was 36, unmarried, childless, alone in a beautiful apartment, celebrating professional achievement with no one to share it with. This is what I wanted, Catherine said aloud, as if saying it would make it true. Career success, independence, freedom to make my own choices. She pulled out her phone, scrolling through social media. Former classmates posting family photos, children, pregnancies, happiness. They settled, Catherine told herself. I achieved. Different choices, equally valid. But looking at a college, friend's photo, 3 children, messy house, exhausted smile, caption reading, worth every sacrifice. Catherine felt something unexpected, envy. No, she said firmly, putting down her phone. I don't want that. I chose differently. I chose this. She stood, walking to her window overlooking Manhattan, city lights. Success, everything she'd dreamed of, and she'd gotten it by ending 3 lives, 3 pregnancies that would have derailed her trajectory, 3 potential children who would have complicated everything. They weren't children, Catherine said to her reflection. They were pregnancies, medical situations. I had rights. I made choices. I'm not a murderer. I'm a successful woman who made difficult but necessary decisions. But even as she said it, that question whispered again. Was it worth it? Yes, Catherine said firmly. Absolutely. I regret nothing. The moment she said, I regret nothing, the temperature dropped. The cold was instant and overwhelming. Catherine's breath became visible in her climate-controlled luxury apartment. Frost formed on her floor-to-ceiling windows. What? Catherine spun around and saw him. Golden light emanated from the corner of her living room, not reflecting, but generating light that seemed alive, purposeful, growing brighter. The light took form. A figure materialized. A man in white robes that glowed from within, radiating authority and compassion simultaneously. Catherine's rational legal mind tried to process hallucination, intruder, medical emergency, but she knew, instantly, undeniably, this was Jesus Christ in her apartment. This isn't possible, Catherine whispered. And yet I'm here, Jesus said, his voice filling her apartment despite being spoken softly. Catherine Morrison, 36 years old, senior partner, successful by every worldly measure, and destroyer of 3 lives. Catherine's defensiveness kicked in immediately. I didn't destroy lives. I terminated pregnancies, legal procedures, my right, my body, my choice. Your body, Jesus said, moving closer, but their lives. 3 distinct human beings with souls, with futures, with purposes. 3 children I knit together in your womb, and you chose to end them for career advancement. They weren't children, Catherine protested. They were fetuses, clusters of cells, not viable, not persons. I didn't kill anyone. Jesus' eyes held both infinite compassion and absolute truth. Let me show you what you killed. Not what you've been telling yourself, clusters of cells or medical procedures. Let me show you the actual children, the souls, the people they would have become. No, Catherine said, terror rising. I don't want to see. You don't want to face truth, Jesus interrupted. You've spent 12 years creating comfortable lies. Not really alive, not really human, just exercising my rights. But tonight, those lies end. Tonight, you meet your children. He extended his hand toward her. "Please," Catherine begged. "I did what I thought was right. I made the best choices I could with the information I had. You made choices that prioritized your ambition over 3 human lives." Jesus said firmly, "You knew. Deep down, you've always known. The grief you've been suppressing, that's maternal instinct recognizing loss. The emptiness you feel despite success, that's the void left by children who should have been yours." His touch was inescapable. The moment his hand reached her forehead, the apartment disappeared.
If this moment is touching your heart, share your story or a prayer request in the comments below. Someone watching may need the encouragement only you can give. Tag a friend who could use this message of hope today.
Catherine found herself transported to a place of pure light, not physical space, but spiritual reality, heaven. And standing before her were 3 children, a girl, approximately 8 years old, brown hair, Catherine's eyes, shy smile, a boy, approximately 5 years old, playful energy, curious expression, another girl, approximately 2 years old, toddler sweetness, reaching out instinctively. Catherine's heart stopped. These weren't abstract concepts or clusters of cells. These were actual children, real, present, looking at her with love and recognition. "No," Catherine whispered, "this isn't real. They're not real. They're as real as you are," Jesus said, standing beside her. "These are the children you aborted. Not as they were when you ended their lives, but as they would be now if you'd let them live. This is your 8-year-old daughter, Emma, your 5-year-old son, David, your 2-year-old daughter, Grace." Catherine stared at them, maternal instinct buried for 12 years erupting with devastating force. These weren't theoretical. They were her children. She knew them, recognized them, loved them with an intensity that was overwhelming. Catherine couldn't speak, couldn't process. Emma, the 8-year-old, stepped forward. "It's okay, Mom. We're not angry." The word "mom" shattered Catherine completely. She fell to her knees, sobbing. "I killed you," Catherine gasped. "I ended your lives because you were inconvenient, because my career mattered more. I'm a monster. You made choices," Jesus said gently. "Choices that ended their earthly lives. But Catherine, their souls are eternal. They've been here, in my care, since you aborted them. They know you. They've been praying for you." "Praying for me?" Catherine looked up at the children through tears. David, the 5-year-old, nodded. "We pray Jesus helps you see, that you understand, that you feel sorry, that you change. But I killed you," Catherine repeated, devastated. "How can you pray for me? How can you not hate me?" "Because Jesus taught us to forgive," Emma said simply, with the profound wisdom children sometimes have. "And because you're our mom, we love you even though you didn't let us live." The words destroyed Catherine. Their forgiveness was worse than their condemnation. She didn't deserve it, didn't deserve their love, didn't deserve anything but judgment. "Let me show you who they would have been," Jesus said. The scene shifted. Catherine saw glimpses of alternate timelines, lives that could have been. Catherine saw herself at 24, pregnant, choosing life instead of abortion. Saw herself taking the bar exam, pregnant, difficult but possible. Saw herself starting the clerkship with a 3-month-old, exhausting but manageable. She saw Emma growing up, smart like Catherine, but with an artistic soul Catherine had suppressed. Painting, creating, bringing beauty into the world. She saw Emma at 8, the age she would be now excelling in. School, loving art class, hugging her mother after school. She saw Emma's future becoming an art therapist, working with traumatized children, bringing healing through creativity, getting married, having children of her own, a life of meaning, cut short for career convenience. Catherine saw herself at 28, pregnant again, choosing life. Saw herself working as an associate with a toddler and an infant, hard, yes, but many women did it. She saw David growing, energetic, curious, loving science and exploration. She saw David at 5 current age, asking endless questions, bringing joy and chaos. She saw David's future becoming a pediatrician, saving children's lives, researching childhood diseases, making genuine difference in the world, a life of service. Ended for partnership track. Catherine saw herself at 32, pregnant while up for partner, choosing life despite cost. saw herself potentially losing the partnership or surprising everyone by managing both. She saw Grace sweet, empathetic, with a gift for connecting with people. She saw Grace at current age toddler joy, unconditional love, endless affection. She saw Grace's future becoming a therapist, specializing in helping women with post-abortion trauma, bringing healing to others like her mother. A life of redemption, destroyed for senior partner title. The vision shifted to show Catherine what her life could have been with all 3 children. Harder, yes, less professionally successful by worldly standards, but rich in ways that mattered. She saw herself as a mother exhausted but fulfilled, still working, but at a different firm, different pace, different priorities, making enough money to live comfortably without sacrificing everything for career. She saw family dinners, homework help, bedtime stories, the messy, exhausting, beautiful chaos of motherhood. She saw Emma, David, and Grace, together siblings who loved each other, fought, played, grew up supporting each other. She saw herself at 36, current age, tired but deeply happy, surrounded by children rather than expensive furniture, rich in relationships rather than money. And she saw Catherine's future with them grandchildren, legacy, being remembered not for cases won but for lives shaped. This is what you traded for career success, Jesus said, and his voice carried profound sadness. 3 children with purposes, with futures, with souls. You ended all of it because you valued professional achievement more than human life. The scene shifted violently. Now Catherine was experiencing each abortion, but from a perspective she'd never considered, theirs. Catherine experienced the first abortion from Emma's soul's perspective, felt the procedure from the inside, the violence of being torn apart, the terror, the primal, I want to live that every human soul possesses. She felt Emma's soul crying out, Mommy, please, I want to be born, I want to live, please don't kill me. And she felt Emma's soul separating from the body, moving to Jesus, being held and comforted. Felt Emma's grief not for herself anymore. She was with Jesus, safe, but for her mother, who'd killed her own child. Catherine experienced the second abortion from David's soul, felt the development 12 weeks, more formed, more aware, felt the procedure's violence. She felt David's soul pleading, Mommy, I'm your son, I want to meet you, please choose me, please let me live, and felt David's grief as he too moved to Jesus. Not anger at his mother, but sadness for what could have been. Catherine experienced the third abortion from Grace's perspective. 16 weeks, nearly 4 months, most developed, most aware. She felt Grace's soul desperately wanting life. Mommy, I'm real. I'm alive. I'm your daughter. Please, please, please choose me. And felt Grace's heartbreak as her earthly life ended, as she joined Jesus and her siblings. The vision ended. Catherine was back in the heavenly space, on her knees before her 3 children, destroyed by what she'd experienced. They were alive, Catherine gasped. They were people. They were my children. And I killed them. I murdered my own children for career advancement. Yes, Jesus said simply, they were alive. They were people. And you chose to end their lives. Not in ignorance, you had doubts every time, maternal instinct telling you truth, grief afterward. But you suppressed it all for ambition. I'm a murderer, Catherine sobbed. I killed my own babies, 3 times. How can I be forgiven? How can this ever be made right? It can't be made right, Jesus said with devastating honesty. Their earthly lives are gone. You can't undo what you did. Emma won't paint. David won't heal children. Grace won't bring redemption to others. Those futures ended when you chose career over their lives. Catherine felt the weight of eternal guilt crushing her. But, Jesus continued, his voice softening, this is why I died. For sins exactly like this. For choices that can't be undone. For guilt that's too heavy to carry alone. Catherine, you can be forgiven. But first, you have to acknowledge truth, not the comfortable lies you've been telling yourself, but actual truth. You killed 3 human beings for career advancement. I did, Catherine admitted through tears. I murdered my own children. I chose success over their lives. I'm exactly what I spent 12 years denying, a mother who killed her babies. Emma stepped forward. placing a small hand on Catherine's shoulder. Jesus forgives you, Mom, and we forgive you. But you have to change. You have to help other women not make the same choice. You have to tell the truth about what abortion really is. How? Catherine asked. How do I possibly make any of this right? By telling your story, Jesus said. By using your remaining years to save lives, instead of ending them. By speaking truth about abortion, not political talking points, but actual truth. It ends human lives. It causes maternal grief. It has eternal consequences, and it can be forgiven, but never undone. He began to fade, the children with him. Wait, Catherine reached for them desperately. Don't go. I'm not ready to lose you again. You'll see us again, Emma said, smiling. When your earthly life ends, we'll be here, waiting, together in heaven forever. But use your time on earth well, David added. Help other mommies choose life. Tell them we were real, Grace said in her small voice. Tell them, babies are real. And then they were gone, leaving Catherine alone in her apartment, but not the same Catherine who'd celebrated success 30 minutes earlier. Catherine didn't sleep that night, sat on her floor until dawn, processing what she'd seen and felt. Her children, real, alive, killed by her choices. At 7 a.m., she called her firm. I'm taking a leave of absence. Personal reasons. Indefinite. Catherine, you just made senior partner. You can't take leave now. I don't care, Catherine interrupted. I'm taking leave, effective immediately. She hung up. The career she'd sacrificed everything for, including 3 children's lives, suddenly felt completely meaningless. She spent the next 3 days in her apartment, crying, praying, processing. She'd never been particularly religious, occasional church attendance, vague belief in God, but now she was desperately seeking him. Jesus, I killed my children. How do I live with that? How do I carry this guilt? And in the stillness, she heard not audibly, but clearly, you don't carry it alone. I carried it on the cross. Confess, repent, and dedicate your remaining life to protecting those who can't protect themselves. On the 4th day, Catherine went to a Catholic church, the faith of her childhood, abandoned in college. She found a priest. Father, I need to confess something terrible. In the confessional, Catherine confessed everything. 3 abortions, 12 years of denial, career built on murdered children. My daughter, the priest said gently, what you've done is grave, but God's mercy is greater. Are you genuinely repentant? Yes, Catherine sobbed. Completely. I would give anything, everything to undo what I've done. Then you're forgiven, the priest said. Jesus' blood covers even this. But Catherine, forgiveness requires change. You can't just receive absolution and return to your old life. You need to use your story, your pain, to help others avoid your mistakes. Catherine made a choice that shocked everyone. She resigned from her law firm, walked away from senior partnership, from $750,000 salary, from everything she'd sacrificed her children for. I can't continue benefiting from a career built on their deaths, she told her stunned colleagues. I need to do something that matters, something that honors their lives. She sold her Tribeca apartment, moved to a modest place in Queens, took a job at a nonprofit legal clinic, helping low-income women earning $40,000 annually, a fraction of her previous salary. But she also began speaking, telling her story, at churches, pregnancy centers, colleges, anywhere that would listen. My name is Catherine Morrison. She'd begin. I'm an attorney, and I'm a mother who killed 3 of her children through abortion. The honesty was shocking. Most post-abortion testimonies focused on difficult circumstances, rape, poverty, abuse. Catherine's story was different, pure, careerism. I wasn't trafficked. I wasn't in poverty. I wasn't a teenager. I was an adult woman with resources and options, and I chose abortion 3 times purely for career convenience, because partnership mattered more than motherhood, because success mattered more than life. And last month, Jesus Christ appeared to me and showed me my 3 children not as clusters of cells, but as the actual human beings they would have been. An 8-year-old girl, a 5-year-old boy, a 2-year-old girl. I met them, spoke with them, and understood, with devastating clarity. I didn't terminate pregnancies. I killed my children. The testimony was controversial. Pro-choice advocates accused her of exploiting trauma to push political agenda. Some pro-life advocates were uncomfortable with her graphic honesty about what abortion actually is, but women responded. Hundreds reached out. "I'm pregnant and considering abortion. Your story made me think. I'm keeping my baby." One woman wrote, "I was scheduled for an abortion tomorrow. My career is at a critical point and this pregnancy is terrible timing. But after hearing your story, hearing that you met your children in heaven and carry this grief, I can't do it. I'm choosing life." A year after Jesus appeared, Catherine had founded a ministry, Voices of the Unborn, helping post-abortive women find healing while honestly presenting abortion's reality. "We don't condemn women who've had abortions," Catherine would explain. "Most made that choice in difficult circumstances. But we also don't lie about what abortion is. It ends a human life, it causes maternal grief, and it has spiritual consequences." The ministry provided post-abortion counseling and healing, support for pregnant women considering abortion, honest education about fetal development, legal help for women choosing life, testimony from post-abortive mothers. Catherine also spoke at law schools her old world. "You're being told abortion is reproductive. Healthcare. A personal choice. Nothing more complicated than removing an appendix," she'd tell law students. "That's a lie. I believed that lie 3 times. And now, I live with the knowledge that I killed 3 children for career advancement. I met them in a vision from Jesus. They were real. They had souls. They had futures. And I destroyed all of it for partnership at a law firm." Some of you will face this choice: pregnancy at an inconvenient time, career at a critical juncture, and you'll be tempted to choose career over life. Don't. Because that choice has eternal consequences, you can't imagine until it's too late. 2 years after Jesus appeared, Catherine stood in a large church, giving her full testimony. The sanctuary held 2,000 people. 2 years ago, I was celebrating senior partnership at a prestigious law firm. I'd achieved everything I'd worked for, except I'd done it by aborting 3 children at ages 24, 28, and 32 each time, because pregnancy conflicted with career advancement. She shared the full story, the rationalizations, the procedures, the suppressed grief, the hollow success. And then Jesus Christ appeared in my apartment and showed me my children, not as I'd convinced myself they were clusters of cells, but as the actual human beings they would have been. I met Emma, age 8, David, age 5, Grace, age 2. I spoke with them, they forgave me, and they asked me to tell their story to help other women choose life. Catherine's voice broke. "I can't bring them back. I can't undo what I did. Their earthly lives are gone forever. Emma won't become an art therapist. David won't save children's lives as a pediatrician. Grace won't bring healing to post-abortive women. Those futures ended when I prioritized my career over their lives. But I can honor them by saving other lives, by telling the truth about abortion that our culture hides. It ends human lives. Real children, with souls, with purposes, with futures. If you're pregnant and considering abortion, please choose life. Whatever challenges you're facing, they're temporary. But the life inside you is eternal. That's a soul created by God, with a purpose and a future. Please don't do what I did. Please don't trade your child's life for convenience or career or anything else the world says matters more. After the testimony, dozens of women approached Catherine, a college student. "I'm 8 weeks pregnant. I have an abortion scheduled next week. I was going to go through with it. But hearing your story, understanding that I'd be killing my actual child, not just terminating a pregnancy, I can't do it. I'm keeping my baby." A professional woman. "I've had 2 abortions. I've spent years telling myself it was fine. It was my choice. It was just medical procedure. But I've carried grief I couldn't acknowledge. Hearing you speak about meeting your children, it gave me permission to grieve, to acknowledge what I did, and to seek forgiveness." A young man. "My girlfriend is pregnant. We were planning to take care of it. But hearing you describe meeting your son in heaven, understanding that's my son too, I can't let her abort. I'm going to step up, be a father. We'll figure it out." 3 years after Jesus appeared, Catherine sat in her modest Queens apartment, nothing like her former Tribeca luxury, but peaceful. She was 40 now, unmarried, no living children, but she'd helped save hundreds of lives through her ministry. Women who'd chosen life after hearing her testimony. Children who were alive because their mothers understood abortion's reality. Her phone showed a message with a photo. A young woman holding a newborn. The message read, "Miss Morrison, 3 years ago I heard you speak at my college. I was pregnant and planning an abortion. Your story made me choose life. This is Emma. I named her after your daughter. Thank you for saving my baby by telling the truth." Catherine cried, grief and joy mixed. She couldn't bring back her own Emma, but other Emmas were alive because she'd been honest about what abortion costs. She opened her Bible to a passage that had become her anchor. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come. The old has gone. The new is here. 2 Corinthians 5:17. Catherine couldn't undo her past. Emma, David, and Grace's earthly lives were gone, but she'd been forgiven, and she dedicated her remaining life to protecting those who couldn't protect themselves. Her doorbell rang. A young woman, early 20s, visibly pregnant, stood there. "Miss Morrison? I'm sorry to show up unannounced. I heard you speak last month. I'm pregnant 19 weeks. I have an abortion scheduled tomorrow. My boyfriend is pressuring me. My parents will disown me if I keep it. My college career will be derailed. I was going to go through with it. But I can't stop thinking about your testimony. About you meeting your children in heaven. About the grief you carry. About them forgiving you but you never getting them back. And I realized, I'm about to do exactly what you did. Kill my child for convenience. And I can't. I won't." Tears streamed down the young woman's face. "But I don't know what to do. I have no support, no money, no plan. Can you help me?" Catherine pulled the young woman into her apartment. "Yes, absolutely. We'll figure this out together. You're choosing life, and I'll help you navigate everything else." As they sat together making a plan, housing, medical care, financial support, counseling, Catherine felt something she hadn't felt in years. Purpose. Real purpose. Not the hollow success of partnership, but the deep fulfillment of helping another woman choose life. That night, Catherine prayed, "Jesus, thank you for appearing to me 3 years ago, for showing me my children, for devastating me with truth so I could change. I still carry the grief. I'll always grieve Emma, David, and Grace. But you've redeemed even my worst choices. You're using my story to save lives. Thank you for mercy I didn't deserve." And in the stillness, she felt not audibly, but clearly, "Well done. You took the worst thing you'd ever done and let me transform it into purpose. Keep going. Keep speaking truth. Keep saving lives." Emma, David, and Grace are proud of their mother, and when your earthly life ends, you'll be reunited. Forever. Catherine smiled through tears. She'd lost everything the world valued: career, money, prestige, success. But she'd gained something infinitely more valuable: redemption, purpose, the ability to honor her children by saving others. She couldn't bring them back, but she could make sure their deaths weren't meaningless, that some good came from her terrible choices. And that was enough. Abortion is one of the most complex, painful issues in our society. This story doesn't exist to condemn all women who've had abortions. The vast majority made that choice in genuinely difficult circumstances: poverty, abuse, lack of support, medical necessity. But Catherine's story represents something that also exists: women who abort for pure convenience, who choose career over life, who tell themselves it's just cells, when they know, deep down, it's more than that. Here's the truth our culture often hides: abortion ends a human life, not potential life. Actual life, with a soul, with a purpose, with a future. Science is clear. Life begins at conception. At that moment, a genetically distinct human organism exists. From that point forward, development is continuous. There's no magical moment when cells become a baby. It's all one continuum. The question isn't, when does life begin? Science answers that. The question is, when does that life matter enough to protect? Our culture has decided: viability, birth, some arbitrary point. But those are convenient definitions designed to make abortion feel acceptable. Catherine learned the devastating truth. Her children were alive from conception. They had souls. They had purposes. And she killed them, not in ignorance, but knowingly, because career mattered more. If you've had an abortion, hear this clearly. You can be forgiven. Jesus' blood covers even this. The children you aborted are with him, in heaven, safe. And if you genuinely repent, you'll see them again. But forgiveness requires acknowledging truth. Not the comfortable lie that it was just tissue, but the painful truth. It was your child, and you chose to end that life. That's devastating to acknowledge. But it's also the path to healing. Because you can't grieve what you won't acknowledge. You can't be healed from wounds you deny exist. Post-abortion grief is real. Post-abortion trauma is real. The hollow feeling Catherine described, many women experience that. The suppressed maternal instinct recognizing loss that's real. Our culture tells women, you should feel empowered, not guilty. It was your choice, your right, nothing to grieve. But that's a lie. And it traps women in denial rather than leading them to healing. If you're pregnant and considering abortion, please hear Catherine's story. Please understand, you're not terminating a pregnancy. You're ending your child's life. That's not political rhetoric. That's biological and spiritual truth. Yes, pregnancy might be inconvenient. Yes, your life plans might need to change. Yes, single motherhood or parenting with an unsupportive partner, or whatever your circumstance is, it's hard. But hard is temporary. Death is permanent. Your child's life matters more than your convenience. And here's what Catherine learned. The success she gained by aborting her children felt hollow, empty. The career she prioritized over life didn't ultimately satisfy. Because humans aren't meant to find fulfillment in career, we're meant to find it in relationships, in love, in purpose that transcends ourselves. Catherine thought she was choosing freedom, but she chose emptiness. She thought she was choosing success, but she chose grief. Don't make her mistake. Choose life, even if it's hard, even if it changes your plans, because that child has eternal value, and your temporary comfort isn't worth their permanent death. To pro-choice advocates, I know you believe you're defending women's rights, but rights aren't unlimited. Your right to swing your fist ends at my nose, and your right to bodily autonomy ends where another human life begins. To pro-life advocates, Catherine's testimony is powerful. But remember, condemnation doesn't change hearts. Judgment doesn't heal. Women need support, not condemnation. Resources, not shame. Truth with grace. Jesus showed Catherine truth, devastating, painful truth. But he also offered forgiveness. He showed her children who forgave her. He gave her purpose to redeem her worst choices. That's the gospel. Your sin is real, but God's grace is greater. You can't undo the past, but you can change the future. Catherine met her children. She can't bring them back, but she's saving hundreds of others by telling the truth our culture hides. Choose life, choose truth, choose grace, always.
Subscribe to Tales of God's Grace for more true miracles and stories of redemption. Your support helps us reach and restore families around the world. Don't forget to tag a friend and share this video, so together we can spread faith, love, and healing where it's needed most.